My name is Ben Paton. I'm a Senior Product Manager at Atlassian. I'm part of the Jira Service Management team. The presentation today, as introduced, is it's time to scale your enterprise in the cloud. So I thought before that we start, I could do a little bit of an introduction. So I'm from Sydney, Australia. We're only discussing what time of day. So I guess good morning for all of you. Good evening for me. So I live here with my wife and two daughters. You can see from my socially distanced holiday photo, this is me and my family just this Christmas time. A couple of call outs on that slide. So 288 days, that is the number of days that I've worked for Atlassian. And in that time, my focus has been all things scalability, performance, and enterprise for Jira Service Management. The 90s, that one's easy. That's the best decade for music, bar none. And finally, the word Dadaist. You may have never heard the word because I invented it, but if I had to describe 2020 in a single word, I would say Dadaist. Probably due to how much time I've spent in my home, but my jokes are getting worse and I've become terribly obsessed with mowing my lawn. The agenda for today is pretty straightforward. Three separate sections, then we can do some Q&A. So first off, I'd like to take a little bit of a look at the recent announcement for server products and sort of step through what that means for both of those. I'm really trying to answer the question here is, I will help you answer the question, is cloud ready for me? Next, I'm going to start looking at a list of things that you can do today to help get your site ready for moving to cloud. And finally, I'm keen to give an overview of our new enterprise plan that we launched in October last year and seek to answer the question, is cloud enterprise ready? As I said, after all of this, we should hopefully have time to answer a few questions. What I will say, though, during this presentation is my focus will be heavily skewed towards Jira Service Management, but there will be times where I will be speaking a little bit more broadly into some of our different products, Jira Software or Confluence. This presentation, I hope, will resonate with a few groups of people. Obviously, existing customers who are staring down the move to cloud, whether that's something that you're planning organically or whether it's something that's a result of the recent announcement. Any new customers that might be with us who are considering our cloud products for their organization. Any existing customers we have that would like to get a better sense of the enterprise plan and whether that feature set works for them. And obviously, anyone who enjoys Australian accents should be right at home here today. Okay, so let's get started. The question here is, is cloud ready for me? I hear a lot of concerns from customers that relate to the importance of their productivity stack inside of their organization. And there's a bit of an associated trepidation that comes when they think about cloud and scale and performance. So I'm hoping to seek some of these concerns, but I guess first what I'd like to do is address the elephant in the corner.
Ben, just if you could just speak a little bit slower, please.
Not a problem. So many of you will have seen the announcement from our co-founder Scott, probably last October, flagging some of the upcoming changes to our server product offering. In case you missed it, I'll be sure to send through that blog and the associated frequently asked questions page after the meeting. But in summary, this announcement stated that we will be discontinuing the server line of products from our self-managed offering. This decision really has come to allow us to have a greater focus on the cloud experience. And this is something that's going to be happening over the next 3 years. It's important to note that although server will be discontinued, the data center product will continue and will continue to be available. To give some context as to what this includes, I've included a list here of the server products that will be discontinued as a part of this. I won't read through them all. There are a couple of notable exceptions. Fisheye and Crucible are two products that are going to remain in basic maintenance mode after the discontinuation. And Bamboo is a product that we will be looking to release a future version in Data Center. So until which point we will continue to provide Bamboo Server for customers to purchase. So in terms of when, there are two important dates to note. So February 2nd, 2021, yes, that is 21 days from now. So on this date, server licenses will no longer be available for purchase. And there will be an associated update to server prices for renewals and upgrades that goes live at that same time. The second date is February 2nd, 2024. Fair way out, but that is 3 years and 21 days from today. And on this date, we will be ending support for all server products. So what this basically means is that support and bug fixes will no longer be available for those products, and you won't be able to have support for them. The big question that typically follows that is why. So, I mean, look, there are a whole lot of reasons on this slide as to why we're making the change. But if I were to put it simply, what we've heard from our customers is that there is a desire in the market to move business applications into the cloud. Most companies are driving some level of cloud-first strategy, whether it be this year, next year, or maybe in the next 5 years. There's many positives that can come from doing something like this. Customers have reported lower costs, both from a licensing but as well as a hardware perspective. There's been reduction in risk and downtime, reported less security issues, and probably one of the most powerful reasons is it creates a greater ability for organizations to innovate on their own terms, rather than focusing a lot of those IT resources in the maintenance of their Atlassian stack. But ultimately, the reasoning here is that maintaining two independent self-managed solutions is preventing us from focusing on the world-class cloud experience that you deserve. But like I said, it's important to note that there will be customers that even with 3 years to prepare, they may have requirements that are just never suited to being in cloud. So for those customers, it's important to note that Data Center is not going anywhere, and we're going to be continuing to drive parity and connectivity between both our cloud and Data Center offerings. Final point here is around how, or what are my options? Some of these might seem quite obvious, but I wanted to highlight that there's really no right answer here, although one is recommended, but every organization is going to be different. So migrating to a cloud is definitely an option. We have a migration team that is focused on helping customers with their journey to cloud. Jira software and Confluence both have migration assistants that are available today that make short work of such a migration. Jira Service Management has an assistant on its way. That is something that's going to be coming later this financial year to assist in single project migrations between server and cloud. The other option there, as it stands today, is the ability to migrate to Data Center. So server and Data Center obviously have a lot of similarities. The migration team is available to help with that transition, and site export and import tools are available to help make this move easier. The final point there is time to continue on server or Data Center. So as I said, for the next 3 years, you're going to be able to remain on server. And this presents a good opportunity to develop a migration plan based on your requirements and our proposed roadmap. So I guess that's probably a good segue into this question. Can cloud scale to meet the needs of my organization? The 10,000 user licenses has been a mainstay of the server offering for quite some time now. And it's this type of scale that's it's critically important that we can support in cloud. But it's not only scale. Performance and availability are very important to our customers, especially those who are coming from self-managed sites and have been managing this themselves. So a few call-outs here. So in terms of user licenses, in October last year, we officially increased the upper bounds of our cloud user limits to be 10,000 users for both Jira Software and Confluence. And at the same time, increased Jira Service Management to be 5,000 agents. It's important to note here as well that customers for Jira Service Management are and will remain unlimited across all plans from a scalability perspective. Another call out here is around performance. So optimizing performance at Atlassian is not a one-time thing. We increased those numbers last year, but I wanted to flag that we do have a dedicated department who focuses on scale and performance, and we do have multiple teams within each of our products who are focused on driving some of these performance outcomes. I work with these teams, and I can tell you that they are regularly doing synthetic tests, which is simulating large-scale environments for customer shapes that are far larger than any of those that we have active today, and are tuning and augmenting experiences to ensure the best performance at scale. The third point there is around KPIs. In an attempt to provide some confidence and illustrate improvements in our cloud offering from a performance and scale perspective, we've started to compile a quarterly report to share with customers. This report showcases availability, reliability, and performance of Jira Software, Confluence, and Jira Service Management. So this is something available if you're interested to get a better understanding. On the next slide, I have a snapshot from the last one of those reports. The availability and reliability goals that we set for our platform here are based upon the premium and enterprise SLAs that we offer, which are 99.95 and 99.9% uptimes. Performance goals that we have is based on Google's Rail model. For those who may not be familiar with it, it's a user experience-based model that basically sets acceptable tolerances for load times as well as in-app load times. So what is deemed as acceptable is a page loading in less than 4 seconds, or any interaction that you have on a page occurring in less than 1 second. I guess what I can say looking at this snapshot of report is it's all looking very good. The one yellow there, we anticipate going green in the next report. So the next section, I'd like to switch gears a little bit. I'd like to move into how you can start to prepare your site for a move to cloud. I've taken a little bit of inspiration for this section from Marie Kondo. For anyone who's managed to avoid the internet in the last 2 years, Marie Kondo is a Japanese organization consultant. She's famed for a TV series aimed at helping people declutter their house. Her catchphrase is about removing the objects in your life that no longer spark joy. So one of the key focuses of preparing for a migration is very much about cleaning house. So the first Marie Kondo quote I have here is, it's a strange phenomenon, but when we reduce what we own and essentially detox our Jira, it has a detox effect on our migration as well. Only have to modify these quotes slightly. But what this is really about is about clearing out what is no longer needed. So let's start with projects and issues. In preparation, we want to try and get rid of all of those test projects. That test project that's called John Test Project 6, it can probably go. We want to get rid of projects for products that never got off the ground or that contain no value inside of our Jira instance. We probably want to consider some of those projects that we set up to capture event logging. You probably know the ones that capture every single event from one of our components logs that we no longer look at. Those projects can probably be cleaned up as well. The same goes for issues. So service desks that are receiving excessive amounts of spam, we can happily use the archive and delete capabilities to condense our footprint inside of our site. Basically, anywhere that we can cut down is going to be a win from a migration perspective. Configurations are another place that we can really trim down an instance. I have seen some of our customers where 20% of their user base are actually site administrators, which is quite scary. And typically, non-administrative administrators solve every single problem that they have by creating redundant configurations. So where you can try and tidy those types of things up, there's a huge benefit. Are there workflows that can be consolidated? Does your instance really need 4 different issue types for incidents? And are you using all of those custom fields that have been created? What I will say though is, this all sounds well and good, but depending on your instance, this might seem like a very daunting task. But there is some good news. There are some really good tools inside the marketplace that will be able to help with your administrative and project and issue cleanup. So the next quote that I've got here is, to truly cherish the apps that are important to you, you must first discard those that have outlived their purpose. To throw away what you no longer need is neither wasteful or shameful. So this is another well-timed Marie Kondo quote that in this case I believe relates to the marketplace and the apps that you have inside of your ecosystem. Question I ask is, how many apps is your organization actually using? Usually the best approach here is starting a dialogue with your users. We recommend trying to understand of all of your apps, which are the ones that are a must-have, which of those are should-have, and which of them are nice-to-have. And I think you might be pleasantly surprised how many of your apps actually fall into the latter categories. And then with this understanding, you can put a plan in place to start phasing out some of those apps. What this plan may also require is, I guess, a little bit of strategic decision making to sunset some of your apps that you may be using or maybe marginally using if they're not available in cloud. And I guess that leads to the final thought here is that when you start thinking about new apps, it's important to have a cloud-first viewpoint on this, and maybe try and adopt apps that have a good cloud version, or the cloud and the server versions match one another to make that migration easier. The Confluence Migration Assistant does also include an app assessment tool. This is something that will be soon coming to the Jira software and Jira Service Management migration tools, and they're a great facility to help you understand the apps that you have and the data that's in them, and what alternatives that you have in the marketplace in cloud for those apps. The third point that I've got here is it's important to consider how you're going to manage your users inside of cloud. And if your approach to user management is going to change, it's a change that you want to start making well before the migration. Atlassian Access is another product in the Atlassian suite that is designed to help simplify access management for you. It will manage access for all of the Atlassian products. and it's something that has got integrations to some really common SSO and SAML identity providers that you may already be using in your organization today. So really important to have a plan here, and where you can choose an Atlassian cloud-friendly identity provider, you're going to have success. The final suggestion that I've got here is really just start using cloud. So you've got a few options how you can start doing this. It's very easy to spin up a free instance of any of our products. Or alternatively, if you're looking down the migration path, we are now making licenses available to migrating customers to help them in the migration. Or you could potentially even take this one step further and I guess spring load your learnings and your trajectory into cloud. Could you move a single use case? So on face value, this can sometimes seem a little complicated, but could your IT team move? Often what we see is engineering teams heavily tethered to server instances. Could an IT team move to cloud and have a Jira service management instance in the cloud and do a lot of the learnings there with your IT team who will be responsible for managing this change before then driving that into Jira software? An alternative approach there is, do you have a business team, let's say a HR team or a legal team who maybe hasn't actually used the product but are really eager to start using Jira Service Management or one of the other products? Maybe these would be a great team to begin a cloud journey with, as you can avoid the change management associated with that team because they would just be beginning inside of cloud. Okay, so moving on to my final section now. Here I wanted to talk to you about our new enterprise plan. So the enterprise plan was designed to address some of the most common feedback that we get from large organizations who work within our tools today. Sorry, I do not have any witty characters to accompany this particular section, but it is certainly one that's close to my heart. So we've talked a fair bit about scale and performance, but what I will say, though, is that although scale and performance is a significant factor, there are a number of other features which are very important to large organizations as well. So late last year, we introduced the enterprise plan across our three key products, Jira Software, Confluence, and Jira Service Management. The enterprise plan complements the existing free, standard, and premium plans. As I said, it focuses on addressing some of the most common requests from our largest customers, and it also endeavours to deliver an expanded feature set in tandem with our premium plan that exists today. So I'm going to, I guess on this slide, consider Jira Service Management side by side when we look at the free/standard and premium/enterprise plans. I'm not going to go through it all, but you can see that the premium and enterprise plans are really designed to help large and growing organizations do so without limits and providing them some additional capabilities. So some key call-outs on this side is obviously a much more in-depth support plan. We get automation tools that span across our entire site and not just limited to projects. When we start looking at some of the key features of Jira Service Management, like incident management, we have limits removed when dealing with major incidents, post-mortems, things like that. Through both service registry and incidents, there is an advanced tool set that comes along there. But then obviously some of the powerful features come with security and performance, things being able to restrict access via IPs, as well as we provide uptime SLAs for both premium and enterprise customers. So those were some of the more feature-centric or product-centric features. But what I really was hoping to call out from the enterprise plan are 4 of the features that I think really help you scale. So the first one here is what's listed as unlimited sites. So the enterprise plan, unlike all of the other plans, provides you with unlimited sites. So let me explain what this means. On free, standard, and premium, you're paying for a single site. So that's one URL, one instance of a product, and that's as far as it goes. With enterprise, if you purchase Jira Service Management Enterprise, you will be able to have as many URLs, instances of Jira Service Management as you see fit. So to put this in context, this means that you could break up sites into a bit of a federated strategy. You might wish to have a different site for a different division or a different business or even a different geography, and this can all be done with no additional cost. I've seen some customers, I guess, develop a multi-site approach, which has allowed them to scale the application for their organisation well beyond the listed limits. And this is a strategy that is included in the enterprise plan. It's simplified, so organizational level billing is a simplified subscription model that comes along with the enterprise plan. Basically, it just means that you have one, no matter how many sites you've got, you're only paying for users one time and only once per product, and you can manage them centrally with a single bill, which means that you don't have multiple billing contacts and remains a very simple invoiced billing process that will fit in with your organization. The next one that I wanted to call out here is data residency. So I know that for some organizations, this is a hard requirement. This is something that we see fairly frequently in our government sector customers. Data residency for Atlassian Cloud is going to give administrators the ability to select which region they want their sites to be deployed in. So each region has a number of availability zones, and the appropriate availability zone inside of region will be determined essentially based on geography. So currently there are 2 regions that we have available, both the US and EU. We have plans to be adding more regions in financial year 22. And really what we're trying to do here is to provide fine-grained control for administrators to select where their data is stored. So, for example, the EU region today is fairly broad with availability zones in Frankfurt and Dublin, whereas we'll be looking to add an availability zone, for example, APAC, which is limited to only having Sydney as an availability zone. So an Australian customer, for example, would be able to ensure that their data is being stored in Australia. So this feature is something that is available now, but it is worth noting that it is still in beta for Jira Service Management. So when I say available now, it is available for Jira software as well as Confluence. The beta that's associated for Jira Service Management is basically just based around there being some elements of Jira Service Management. For example, the former ops tuning capabilities are not fully integrated with this solution yet, but this is something that we're working on actively, and it's going to be available through financial year 21-22. The next one that I wanted to call out here is I think this is a feature, a product on its own, but it is a feature of the Enterprise Edition because it is included with the Enterprise Edition. So for organizations coming in that Enterprise plan, out of the box, they're going to have a very easy strategy for managing users across all of their Atlassian product sites. So for those not familiar with Atlassian Access, there's a great list of capabilities that are provided there. I won't go into too much detail. I won't be able to do it justice. But having a simplified login via a single sign-on, or having automated user provisioning handled by your own user directory, which can be integrated to, Atlassian Access provides integrations with some of the most commonly used identity providers in the market. So a fantastic solution. And obviously, with that comes enhanced security. So utilizing SAML is something that's going to allow you to maximize your security by leveraging your own identity provider and your own governance and your own processes inside of your organization. But an extra capability here through Atlassian Access is the ability to have administrative auditing capabilities. So to see the users that are logging, see the activity that's there, and potentially diagnose security threats as they're happening. There's a lot more to this product. As I said, I won't go through it today. But what I've identified here is going to represent a fairly immediate win for your IT teams. The last one that I'm going to go through here is what we're calling change control. Some might be referring to as change management. I don't want to confuse it with the practice of change management inside of your organization. But the enterprise feature, change control, essentially gives you the tools to be able to execute good change management for Atlassian products inside of your organization. So the release tracks feature, what this allows you to do is you can choose how product changes to all of the Atlassian applications are released to your site. So by default, or what you might know in cloud sites today, is they're continuous. So as we're rolling out changes, they become available to your user base. But you have the ability here to select from a batched option, which rolls up all changes into 2-week batches. So essentially what this is going to do is it provides time for the administrators inside of your organization to learn about the features that are coming, to communicate those features or changes to your business, and prepare documentation to help end users and avoid disruption inside of your organization. The other feature here is Sandbox. So Sandbox is essentially a sandbox for your Atlassian products. What this is going to allow you to do is safely make changes inside of your Atlassian products without the risk of impacting your end users. So essentially how this works is it's going to create a copy of your production environment. It's going to bring across all of your configurations and data, and allow you to operate in a new environment independent of your production environment that will look and feel and act the way that your production environment does, so that you can ensure that changes work alongside your data. I have called out for both release tracks and Sandbox. Both of these features are also in beta. There are some limitations there. So I guess full disclosure, release tracks is limited to Jira-based components or Jira Service Management-based components. If we consider the Opsgenie components, they're not included in release tracks, but will be by the end of this financial year. The sandbox capability is currently based upon the site import and export capabilities, where some Jira Service Management components are not included in these exports. Again, this is something that's going to change later this year with the release of the Jira Cloud Migration Assistant for Jira Service Management. Excellent. So look, I finished a little bit faster than what I thought I would, which is great though. It's going to allow time for some questions if we have them on the line.
Hi Ben, there are a few questions here. So I'll ask you the questions and you can answer them. So the first question is regarding Atlassian Access. Are there plans to support Bitbucket Cloud?
So I'm not the absolute best person to speak to on this one, but I know that there are plans to, yes. In terms of the time frame for that, that's something that I'll have to come back to you to confirm for that particular one.
Okay. Second question is, would we need to change those on the cloud platform? Is it different than what we currently have?
So I find that every customer is different, sort of in the face of this type of a question. So there are some subtle differences between the two. So essentially, what has happened with cloud and server over the years is that we've had two separate teams working on different priorities that speak to the needs of the cloud customers versus server customers. So there are some nuanced differences between the two. The most common feedback that I get is that there are some visual differences, and some particular users may sort of realize that something's not where it was before, or it's in a slightly different position. The best way that I can kind of liken this change is the recent navigation change that occurred in our cloud instance, where we moved from having a vertical navigation on the left of the screen to having a horizontal navigation. This type of change was, some users came in Monday morning and were quite taken back, right? The product that they known how to use is different. So, I mean, it's really up to you. But as I said in that fourth suggestion, your best bet here is to get into cloud and get a sense of it for yourself. And I think you'll quickly understand, what is going to be important to users and what you may need to communicate. But at the heart, the products are fundamentally the same.
Okay. Third question: when will the sandbox be available?
So sandbox capabilities are currently available. That's for Jira Software and Confluence. We're focusing on bringing Jira Service Management up to be included in that as well. So that's something that our goal is to finish that migration tool before the end of the financial year, so July this year. And it's something we should be able to work to have in the product fairly soon afterwards. With that said, the sandbox capabilities are there. There are just some limitations to how that's implemented inside of Jira Service Management.
Okay. The question. Two last questions, I see. Is it like Gmail, where the new feature can be enabled, but you can turn off until you have to use it?
So the release tracks feature, I think you're speaking to here. So the options now are you can have continuous feature delivery, or you can have batched feature delivery. The batched is going to bundle changes that occur over a 2-week period. So it's going to allow you to have at least 2 weeks to know about the features that are coming. There are no fine-grained controls for particular features as to whether or not you want to opt into them or turn them on and off. This release tracks feature, it's fairly new. It's something that we're getting feedback from customers all the time. I believe something that's being evaluated at the moment is the option for longer batched windows. So that's some feedback that we've received from customers. But look, certainly interested to hear more if you have thoughts here, and can pass them on to the appropriate team.
Okay. The last question is, the assistant migration is limited. What is the roadmap for it? So I assume that today, if you want to use the assistant migration, a lot of the functionality is not supported. For example, validation, things like that. What is the roadmap for that to make it easier to migrate?
Okay, so just confirming that I understood that question. I can't see that one here in my panel, but so it's really a question around some of the features that I guess are feature gaps between server as it stands today and cloud, and when can we expect to see some of those features?
No, the question is about assistant migration itself, the add-on. So the capabilities of the add-on, because the capabilities are currently lacking.
Yes. So look, I can speak to this on a couple of levels. So firstly, if you look at Jira Service Management today and the methods for migration, they are very limited. The two real approaches that customers have is site export and then a site import, and the other approach is a CSV export and a CSV import. Both of these approaches are quite lossy. So with the site import, there are certain things that don't come over with that site import. It's a really atomic kind of approach, whereas the CSV import literally just brings ticket data over. It doesn't bring attachments. It doesn't bring a lot of the other metadata associated. This is the reason that we're working on the Jira Cloud Migration Assistant for Jira Service Management. So this is something that has been in flight for the last 6 months. I've been working directly with this initiative. So if you've seen the Jira Cloud Migration Assistant for Jira software, it's built in the same vein as that particular tool. So it's designed to help you analyze your instance, select individual projects. You don't have to do all. You can just do one. You can do a handful, and help guide you through the migration process there. And it's designed to be all-encompassing. So I guess that's one part of the answer. The other part is that for that tool itself, some of you may have used Jira Cloud Migration for Jira software. The team that is working on that is regularly innovating that particular solution and adding more capability to it all the time. So this is a space that we're heavily invested in, and we want to make migration as painless as possible for customers.
Yes, I just want to mention also there's a dedicated page in Atlassian for what is supported with the migration assistant, and it is always updated, so it can be checked out. You can search for it. Okay, so another question: what is the best practice to use organization domain controller user groups?
I'm not sure I completely understand the question. Is this, are we talking about inside Jira Service Management and using organizations, or are we talking more specifically the nitty-gritty of configuring your SSO and users and groups from Active Directory or all that?
It's not clear here, but I assume it's the nitty-gritty. What is the best, how to implement an organization domain controller to Jira Cloud?
Yeah, so look, I might have to come back to you on this one. I'm probably not the best position to sort of give you best practice on that one. Okay,
so got another question. Regarding the design migration process, is there any know-hows and use cases to read about, especially for hybrid environments, Jenkins and test nodes on-premise?
So just trying to, I guess, dig into this. So in terms of change management, that's what I'm sort of pulling out here. If we're talking about on-premise Jenkins and on-premise test nodes, and how to kind of develop hybrid environments between, say, a cloud instance of Jira Service Management and these on-premise solutions. So the short answer is yes. we're focusing fairly heavily on change management at the moment, and Jenkins is one of the front runners of that team's focus. Along with a lot of that design work, there is going to be a lot of material and best practice to be able to share. I don't have that offhand, but it is something that I can help sort of direct you to afterwards.
Okay.
I might take some of these questions that sort of I don't have an answer for today. Look, I'm happy to take them offline, and I can direct some answers back either via or to a
sort of. There's another question here. How to connect to Jenkins, Bitbucket, and Bitbucket? I assume that are not in the cloud. Yeah,
so again, look, I might defer this question again.
Okay, so
through some of my colleagues.
I think I can answer this question. So basically, you have the application link, and it should work exactly the same. And we did it for several of our customers. It should work quite the same as you are doing it between a Jira server and a Jira Bitbucket. The only issue here is a security issue. So you need to open an access for Jira Cloud to access to inside your organization. It could be done. Atlassian has a very detailed security measures and explanation on how to do it, and there's also a IP whitelisting to allow it. But technically, it's basically using the application link.
What I can say on that topic, right, is that application links is a fairly important and critical part of our applications. Something that I have been looking at over the last period of time is ensuring that application links remain between sort of Atlassian products as well as cloud products. So that's something we're definitely focusing in there. But I guess just to reiterate your answer, it really does boil down to sort of managing those allow lists. Granting access to the cloud side.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Ben, thank you very, very much. It was very insightful, and I hope we can do another webinar again.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you very much to everyone.